Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gaming to the video. Intel's Kaby Lake processors are going to face a delay. So the launch window is actually being pushed back until late 2016. So Kaby Lake is actually a 14nm process. It's a small redesign of Skylake, and there are going to be some architecture differences. But the primary purpose of the processor is to slightly boost up the clock speeds, increase the amount of EDRAM perhaps integrated into the processor for its integrated GPU, and just basically to kind of update the chip and act as kind of an intermediary while everyone waits for Cannon Lake. Unfortunately, there are being some delays. Now, Intel are citing poor yields for this. So what this basically means is something that was going to ship early 2016 could possibly face a delay all the way back to September-ish 2016 for the consumer version, and possibly even up to January 2017 for enterprise, which is quite bad. And we can kind of imagine what that's going to be doing to Cannon Lake as well. Now, as we all know, most of this is just down to the shrinking of a process. In a nutshell, it's that if you make the processor smaller to be able to fit in, well, more more transistors into the chip, the more tightly packed the silicon, the more difficult it is, at least in our current processing level technology, to start really going below 14nm. And Intel have to admit, and have admitted a couple of times, that it's actually taken them longer to get to this point than what they thought. They actually thought the 14nm, they didn't think it was going to be like, easy, but they did not think it was going to be this difficult. And it's actually one of the reasons that so many of the chip manufacturers actually clung to 28nm for so long, and then even down to 20. It's one of the problems that Nvidia have faced, AMD as well, with its GPUs. And basically, a lot of the actual producers of the silicon, for example, TSMC, have had problems with this as well. And it does also come down to the type of chip you're producing, that type of thing, like the density, the complexity on that process. Regardless of any of that stuff, we are going to be having to wait. Now, Kaby Lake, just for those who don't want to do some googling, in many ways is going to be very, very, very similar to Skylake, at least from what we know now. So it's still going to be a 14nm process, as I've said, and it's going to be utilizing a new socket. It's going to be utilizing 1151, just like Skylake. So Kaby and Skylake theoretically should be interchangeable in their motherboards, and they are as well going to be supporting the same type of memory, DDR4 and DDR3L, at least theoretically. Obviously, things can happen and all of that stuff. Now, Cannon Lake is still penciled between 2016 and 2017. Different people are reporting different things, and I don't think anyone's 100% clear, and I would be kind of surprised if Cannon Lake does not get another delay, at least how things are going right now, to be totally honest. And the socket for it is probably going to be different as well, but that's not been announced, at least as far as I'm aware. I know what you're going to say, but what about power consumption? Is Kaby Lake at least going to be doing something with that? The answer is kinda. It's going to be in the 90 up to 91 watts, supposedly, whereas Skylake is 95. So this is probably going to be one of those situations, and this is just a theory, because obviously we don't have the processors, to test. But theoretically, it's probably going to be a situation where if you've bought Skylake, you're probably not really going to want to buy Kaby Lake unless there's something really significant. Maybe they'll release, just a pure guess, like a 6-core variant of the processor on the same platform. That could certainly tempt some people who buy, say, the 6700K to, say, do an upgrade. That could be one way to go. Either way, it's not surprising news, and it will be very, very, very interesting how all of this manages to kind of collide, since, once again, assuming there's no delays, these chips should theoretically face up against AMD's Zen. Now, I don't want to say that Zen is going to be super competitive, because we just don't know yet, but if it is competitive, and I really bloody hope it is, you know, in terms of just IPC and core for core, if it is 100% competitive with Intel, it's going to make for a very interesting 2016 for gamers. Or to be honest with you, any enthusiast as well. So right now, Fury X has been doing the rounds, as most people know, and it's doing really well against Nvidia's GTX 980 Ti, and that's a good thing because it actually gives some consumers, like, you know, reasons to kind of say, which one do I go for? And I'm hoping that Intel and AMD have that kind of rivalry as well. And we all know, if you've been in PC gaming for some time or hardware enthusiasts for some time, that has happened in the past. Intel have had these problems where something slipped or the architecture didn't work out quite how they expected. And Intel just kind of dropped the ball, to be totally honest, and AMD swooped in. And I'm not saying that, you know, that Intel didn't catch up, but if anyone remembers the splendor of the original Athlon series, or even the Athlon 64s when they were released, they were tremendously fast. Intel's Pentium 4 did certainly win out in some aspects, but certainly the Athlon 64s were very competitive, particularly in gaming. So it could be that, you know, this slip up could give AMD an edge, but once again, I don't want to say that because we just don't know enough details yet. But anyway, it's a bit frustrating that we are seeing these delays, but to be totally honest, Kaby Lake isn't super big deal. It's not a completely new architecture, so we will be seeing maybe small IPC gains and possibly, as I said, small clock speed increases. But I don't think we're going to be seeing, just for the sake of argument, a 20% increase in speed or anything like that. But then again, we don't know yet 100%. This is just speculation, but we do know it has been delayed. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video, or not. I guess you might not enjoy the video if you were waiting for Kaby Lake. But for now, take care and have a good evening.